Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are starting a brand new unit about fractions. We are going to be on this unit for a few weeks because we have a lot to unpack with fractions. First of all, we're going to talk about what a fraction is. Now, this is about the time of last year when we went virtual for school for the first time. So you might have forgotten what a fraction is, and that's okay. We're going to start out very basic, very easy. Basically, a fraction is a whole divided into equal parts. The key word is equal, and also another key word there is divided. So a fraction is when you take one whole pizza, and cut it up into equal slices. Or when you take a pan of brownies and cut them into equal pieces. So a fraction is just when you divide something up into smaller parts. It's when we take like the number 1 and cut it up into even smaller parts than the number 1. So really what we're looking at here with fractions are numbers between 0 and 1. And there's actually a lot of different ways that you can divide up the number 1. And you can look and see what that looks like. So first of all, the number 1 is going to be our whole. Our whole is the entire object. So like the whole pizza, the whole pie that we cut up, the whole candy bar we split. Okay, the whole is the whole group of things that we are looking at. The numerator, when we divide it into pieces, the numerator is the selected part. So a lot of times it's going to be the part that's shaded in or the part that's missing. And that's going to be our top number on our fraction. We have a number on top, then we have our fraction bar, and then we have our denominator. And our denominator is going to be the total number of pieces that we cut that object into. I know this sounds like really weird right now, and it sounds kind of just like, what are you talking about? So I want to show you a picture, and hopefully it will make a little bit more sense, okay? So here we have a watermelon, and this is one whole watermelon. I want you to picture it's a nice, warm summer day, and we are going to have some watermelon. So I get a big, round chunk of watermelon, and we decide to split it, okay? If I'm just splitting it between me and you, we're going to cut that right down the middle, and we're going to want to make it fair. So both sides have to be equal. It's not fair if you get more than me, and it's not fair if I get more than you. So this would be us dividing a whole into 2 parts. If you notice, 2 is going to be the denominator because that's how many sections we divided it into. So however many sections we divided into is our denominator, and our denominator is below the fraction bar. So it is down, which I like to think of that like denominator begins with a D, and so does the word down. So that number is down below the fraction bar, and that is the total amount of pieces that we have divided the whole thing into. The top part here is going to be our numerator, and that is how many, that's how you get one section and I get one section. So I get 1/2 right here, I get one of those pieces, and you get one of those pieces. And if we were to add together 1/2 and 1/2, it would give us 2 halves, which would also equal a whole. So let's talk about what happens if we want to divide this same watermelon into more than 2 pieces. We can do that. We could divide it into thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, 12ths, however many people there are. Okay, so now let's pretend that it's me, you, and 2 other people. Okay, so we have 4 people now. I want to split this watermelon up into pieces for. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut it into fourths, which are equal pieces. The more pieces that we split it up into, the smaller the pieces are going to get, okay? So here we divided it into fourths, and you can see 4 is the denominator, the new denominator, because we now divided it into 4 pieces, and that's the total. I've got 1 piece, so I've got 1/4, you've got 1/4, the other person's got 1/4, and the last person has 1/4, okay? If we added all those pieces together, we would get 4/4, which would also equal 1 whole. It's the same thing as when we divided it into halves, but now we're dividing it into more pieces. So the more pieces that we divide it into, the smaller the pieces are going to get, which makes sense if you think about it. Let's say we have a birthday cake, and the only people at the party are me and you. Okay, we could cut that cake in half, and I would get half of the cake, and you would get half of the cake. Or let's pretend we had the same birthday party, but more people showed up. Let's say we have 6 people show up. Now we have to cut the cake into 6 pieces and split it that way. So the pieces are going to get a lot smaller because we have more people to share it with. So the larger the number is on the bottom, the smaller the fraction pieces are actually going to be. Now, this is a hard concept for some people to grasp, and that's okay. What I want you to picture in your head, though, is just that fractions are just broken up into equal parts, okay? We're just kind of breaking it up into equal parts. Let's talk about pizza, because honestly, who doesn't love pizza? This is the best way, in my opinion, to learn about fractions, because I can think about pizza. Yum. My favorite is ham and pineapple. Whatever kind of pizza is your favorite, I want you to think about it. And if you think about it really hard, you can almost smell it. So we are looking here. We have a whole pizza. And if you notice, we have one piece that is missing. So our question here is, what fraction of the pizza is missing? The first thing we are going to do is figure out that fraction. So to find the denominator, which is the bottom number, because D for down, denominator down, this goes under the fraction bar, is going to be the total number of pieces we cut this pizza up into. As you can see, we cut this pizza into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. We even count the missing piece, okay? Because I want to know the total. That means all the pieces there and the one that's missing. So we are cut into 8 pieces. So that means that there are 8 total pieces. That's going to be the bottom number. Our top number is going to be the part of the pizza that is missing. How many slices are missing here? Yeah, only 1 slice is missing. So our fraction here to show how much is missing is going to be 1/8. 1/8 of the pizza is missing, okay? Now, same pizza, but we're going to look at how much of the pizza is left now. Not how much is missing, but how many pieces are left. So we're going to count the total again, which is still 8 pieces. So 8 is going to remain our denominator. And then we are going to count how many pieces are actually still available for us to eat. How many pieces are left? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces left, okay? So our fraction for how much is left is 7/8. So if you think about that, if some person ate 1/8 of the pizza and we have 7/8 left, if you added those top numbers, 7 plus 1, you would get 8/8, which would give us the whole pizza. So we know that those are correct fractions. Let's talk about technical difficulties. Let's talk about how to read a fraction, okay? So this can be a little bit hard for people that aren't used to talking this way, but it's okay because I have a trick to help us memorize it. All right, so for 1/2, this is really the hardest one. And you're probably thinking, Miss Weaver, why is that hard? Because when a lot of my kids see this, they want to say this is 1 second. And if you say this is 1 second, no one's going to know what you're talking about, because this is 1/2. When we split things into 2 parts in our language, we call that halves. So you have half and I have half. So this is 1/2. 2 is the only number that you do not read like you're reading it as a grade. So for all the other fractions, you're going to read the denominator, the bottom number, as like a grade level, like 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. The only one that you don't read like that is 2, because that's going to be halves. So that is 1/2. And you just read the top number like normal. So it's pretty easy. You read the top number like normal, and then you read the denominator like it's a grade level, except for 2. 2 is 1/2. So just keep that in your mind, okay? But I want to show you what this looks like. So here, if we were reading this fraction, I would read the numerator as normal, which is just 2. And then the bottom number I would read as a grade level. So I would say 2/3, because this is like 3rd grade, okay? 2/3. Next, we have this. So I'm going to read the top number like normal, 1, and then the bottom number, 4th. 1/4, like 4th grade. This one's a little bit harder, but still not super hard. We have 7, and then the bottom would be, think about it. What would you say if you were in this grade? 7/8. 7/8 because it's like 8th grade, okay? So you just read the top number like normal, and then you read the bottom number like it's a grade level, except for the half, which is not 1 second, but 1/2, okay? So now let's actually get into fractions. Let's write a fraction for the shaded amount of this model. All right, so we have this one fraction. We have this circle divided into 4 equal parts. We know that this is a good fraction because all of the parts are equal. If you ever see a fraction where the parts are not equal, then that is not a fraction, okay? So all the parts have to be equal. Let's look at how many parts there are total. I like to do the bottom number first because it's super easy to count up the total amount. The bottom number, again, is called your denominator. Say denominator with me. Denominator. Denominator, okay? Denominator goes down below the fraction bar. So we have our numerator on top, then our fraction bar, and then our denominator on the bottom, because denominator, D for down, okay? And if you like to think about numerator, a good way to remember numerator is at the top, is that numerator is north, and north is going up. So north begins with an N, and numerator begins with an N. So it is on top because it's north of the fraction bar, okay? And the denominator is down. So we have our numerator, say numerator with me, numerator, and then we have our fraction bar, and below that we have our denominator. Say denominator with me, denominator, okay? So with this particular fraction, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So 4 is going to be my bottom number because that is my total. My top number is going to be the shaded amount. So how many pieces here are shaded in? Well, it's 1, 2. So the number on top is going to be 2, and the number on bottom is going to be 4, because 2 out of the 4 pieces are shaded in. If you struggle to think about this, sometimes if you think about that as 2 out of the 4 pieces are shaded in, that sometimes can help you wrap your head around what a fraction is. So here, again, we have 2 sections colored in right here with that pale yellow, and that is our top number. And then we have 4 pieces total, which is our bottom number. Now, let's talk about how we would read this fraction. We would read the top number like normal, and then we would read the bottom number like a grade. So together, let's try to say this. This fraction is 2/4. 2/4. And it looks like this. And again, our top number, you just read it as normal. This is our normal numerator. And then the bottom number, you read it as a grade level, except for halves, which is when we have 2 at the bottom. All right, let's talk about this fraction. This fraction, we are doing the same thing. It's okay if the colored sections are not touching each other. That's okay. They are still colored in. So I'm still looking for the shaded amount. That's still going to be my top number. So let's look at how many we have colored in here. I have 2 colored in, so that's going to be my numerator. And I have 4 pieces total. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be my denominator. So I have 2/4 again. Miss Weaver, it looks so different. You are right. And I did this on purpose because I wanted to show you the differences between these 2 pictures. Even though they are very different, this one is a square divided into 4 sections, and this one is a circle divided into 4 sections, it doesn't matter because they are all split into 4 sections. So 4 is still the denominator for both of these fractions, and then on both fractions, 2 pieces are colored in. So that is the numerator on both of those fractions. So both of those fractions are 2/4. They're just represented in different ways, and that's okay. All right, let's talk about this new fraction. Whoop, whoop. So we have a whole divided into how many sections? What is our bottom number going to be here? The total number. What is my total denominator down number going to be here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sections. So that's going to be my bottom number. Now we need to figure out how many are colored in. Our top number. We have 1, 2, 3 sections there colored in. So my fraction here is going to be 3 on top, fraction bar, 4 on the bottom. That fraction is going to be 3 over 4. And how would we say that fraction? You would read the top like normal, 3, and then you would read the bottom like a grade level. So 3/4. This fraction is 3/4. All right, let's look at this fraction. This fraction is only divided into how many pieces? What is our denominator going to be here? Our bottom number. If you said 2, you are correct. 2 is going to be our denominator. And then we're going to see how many are colored in for our numerator. How many are colored in? Both of them, yeah, so 2. So we have 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. That's because 2 out of the 2 pieces are colored in. They're all colored in. So when you have this fraction, you can read this in 2 ways. We're going to read it like the normal way, like we've been practicing. So the number on top is 2. And then this, you would read like a grade level, except for when you see 2 on the bottom, because that is halves. So this we would read as 2 halves or 1 whole, because the whole thing is colored in. So when you have the whole thing colored in, that is a whole. When you have the same number on top as the bottom, that means 2 out of 2 pieces are colored in. That means the whole thing is colored in. So that can also be said 1 whole, okay? Because that is no longer really a fraction. It's the whole thing is colored in. All right, let's look at this one. This one looks a little bit harder. So we're going to figure out our bottom number first, which is our total, our denominator, and we are going to count those sections up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I like to use my finger on my screen when I'm counting them just to make sure I don't miss any. So we have 8 as our denominator because we have 8 total pieces. And then we're going to count how many are colored in as our numerator. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 colored in. So 5 is going to be our numerator on top. And then 8 is going to be our denominator on bottom. So 5 out of 8 pieces are colored in. How would I read this fraction? If you said 5/8, you are correct. Okay, let's do a couple more. Here we have a circle fraction. It doesn't matter what shape you divide up into pieces. The key is that all the pieces have to be equal and fair. Okay, just like when we are dividing in a normal number up into pieces, all of those pieces have to be equal and fair, or you're going to have some very angry people on your hands, okay? So let's see how many pieces they cut this circle into. They cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When you do this on paper, I like to actually put a mark in each section to make sure I counted all the sections and didn't miss any. So here we have 8 again as the denominator because it is 8 total pieces, and our denominator goes down below the number line. Next, we're going to count how many are colored in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 colored in. So 4 out of the 8 are colored in. So 4 is my numerator. 8 is my denominator. Everybody say numerator. Numerator. Everybody say denominator. Denominator. Good. How would I read this fraction? You're going to read the top number like normal, and then you're going to read the bottom number like a grade. So 4/8. 4/8. Good. We're going to do one more together, and then we are done. All right. We have this rectangle divided into how many pieces? What is my denominator here? The total. The bottom number. What is my total here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is my denominator because there are 6 pieces total. The top part is going to be how many are shaded in. We are going to count how many are shaded in here. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pieces are shaded in. So 5 out of the 6 are shaded in. 5 is my numerator because it's north of the number line. And 6 is my denominator because it's down from the number line. And how would you read this fraction? We're going to read the top number like normal and then the bottom number like a grade. 5/6. So this is 5/6. All right, guys, I hope that this introduction to fractions helped you just kind of get some experience with it. You're going to go practice on IXL now. Good luck, and let me know if you need any help.